press the record button. Recording is underway, and let's get started. So welcome to today's webinar, How to Get Hot Leads with LinkedIn. Let me talk a bit about what you're going to learn today. First of all, the benefits of LinkedIn, why it's a necessity. Many salespeople aren't using LinkedIn at all. Most have an account, but very, very few, if any, are using it properly. So I'm going to show you why it's a necessity, and more importantly, what LinkedIn can do for you if and only if you use it properly. I'm going to show you how to set up your LinkedIn account properly for maximum results, how to set up your LinkedIn profile properly for maximum results, and then how to create your network foundation properly. Now, of course, LinkedIn is a networking tool. So I'm going to show you how to build a foundation, how to build a solid base so that you can grow your network not only quickly, hugely, and exponentially, but only with the people you want to be connected with, which are your prime prospects, your prime networking connections, things like that. I'm going to show you how to get active and interactive to grow leads and grow referrals from LinkedIn. I'm going to talk about the core of the presentation, LinkedIn prospecting strategies, and that really focuses on what I call my stealth lead generation method. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, in addition to NeverColdCall.com, about 3 years ago, I started another company. We do marketing, consulting, internet marketing, search engine marketing, things like that for companies. And so one area where I'm different from other sales authors is that unlike someone who hasn't sold for 10 or 20 years and merely writes and speaks and trains, I actually own a company where I manage a sales team. I manage our channel partners, the advertising agencies who resell our services. I go out on appointments with their sales reps as well as my own. So I'm definitely up to date. I am out there in the field on sales appointments at least a few times a week, and we actively use LinkedIn to get prospects and get appointments and get sales. So the stealth method I'm going to show you is something we've actually uncovered and figured out in our own company, and believe me, it works big time. And just to mention again, because people are still jumping on, this is being recorded and you will receive a recording by the end of the week. So no worries at all about coming onto the webinar about a few minutes late. So why network? LinkedIn is about networking. So let's take a step back from LinkedIn and talk about networking itself. Well, let me tell you how one man became super connected. I'm good friends with fellow sales author Jeffrey Gitomer. He's a huge fan of my books and my work. I am a huge fan of his books. I've read almost all of them. And there's one thing I noticed. I noticed this the very first time I went out to Charlotte, North Carolina to visit him, and I've noticed it every other time. Typically, we'll meet up at a Starbucks or an Einstein Bagels first thing in the morning at 7:30 a.m. and spend some time there so we could be alone before we go to his office, and then his staff is, all grabbing at him and wanting his attention. But one thing I've noticed is you can't go anywhere in Charlotte without people knowing Gitomer, and you can't go to Einstein Bagels or Starbucks without 10 or 15 or who knows how many more people wanting to say hi to Gitomer and knowing who he is. I said, Jeffrey, how are you so well connected? Well, he said, when I first moved to Charlotte, and 20 years ago, or however long ago it was, all he did was network, and he went to 3 networking events a day at a minimum: a breakfast event every day, a luncheon event every day, an after hours or happy hour event every day. Then on top of that, this is where he got really smart. He went, and even though he doesn't drink, he went and hung out at the bars at night and did karaoke and all this at the bars where the big shots in Charlotte and the business owners and the wealthy people hung out. That's how he got super connected. So that's the good news. You can do that and become hugely connected in your community. The bad news is obviously it takes up a tremendous amount of time and it gets expensive. You have to pay for a lot of these networking groups. There's one meetup group that I love that I go to every other Thursday, and the group is free, but you still have to pay $20 for your lunch. So one way or another, it becomes expensive. LinkedIn gives you the ability to do that much networking and more because it has such a bigger reach entirely from the comfort of your home or your office, just sitting at your computer. And on top of all that, it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. If you want to, you can buy a premium LinkedIn account. I pay a whopping $15 a month for a premium LinkedIn account, and that $15 gives you in-mail credits. I'll explain what that is later. But the short version is it costs you very little or nothing at all to be super connected on LinkedIn. Networking is refreshing. Even though I have no need to go out and go to networking groups, I do it anyway here in Dallas just to meet new people, to actually get out of my office once in a while and be out there in the real world, meet like-minded people, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and so on. Because when you do that, you meet new people and you gain new perspectives, and that's always very helpful. You'll also grow your business exponentially. Networking is hands down the best way to grow a business and get more sales. I teach dozens of strategies within my Never Cold Call systems and presentations, but networking is really where it's at. You're going to sell more through networking and referrals. And the good news is LinkedIn has taken networking from an offline strategy where it was expensive and time consuming, and there was drive time and gas money and fees to join networking groups. In fact, against my advice, one of my own sales reps just paid $500 to join one of these private leads clubs. And there's a clause in the contract that if he misses 2 meetings per year, he gets kicked out, but then they still keep his $500. That's just not right to me. I think go to free meetup groups if you want to do it offline, or do it on LinkedIn if you want to do it online. And given a choice between the two, do it online because that's where it's at nowadays. Most importantly, with networking, you're going to make new friendships that last a lifetime, and that's really a bigger value than making money and making sales. A quick story about my internet consulting business. If anyone's curious about that, by the way, because on the morning session, bear with me while I type here. I typed the web address in the chat box. Please don't go there now. I don't want anyone leaving the webinar to look at that website. But after it's over, you can save that. I started that about 3 years ago, and it was doing well. Wasn't doing great. Wasn't going to make millions of dollars. But then about a year ago, a friend of mine named Kevin, every month he has a networking group at his house, and he invites Dallas entrepreneurs and people he knows to come to his house once a month. And everyone shows up around 8 p.m. and I'm always gone by 11 because I have a family. But from what I hear, it goes to 2 to 3 a.m. sometimes and gets a little out of control. But I went to that and I met someone who has a similar business. And we put our heads together and came under one roof and have merged into one company. And we each went from doing fairly well to literally printing money now that we're together in one business. We have a fantastic mastermind relationship. We become good friends. And like I said, we're literally printing money and owning our niche. We now have the largest and most powerful search engine marketing, search engine optimization network and company in the world. Clients as big as Travelocity and Cafe Press, people like that, all because we met at a networking group. So networking is where it's at. You have to be doing it. And the best place to do it, like I said, is on LinkedIn. So why is LinkedIn the best place to network? Well, first of all, LinkedIn is the largest sales network anywhere, online or offline. More specifically, it's the largest business social media network. Now, in the lower right corner of the screen there, you see a quote from Gitomer. He said social media is the new cold call. And I agree with him to some extent on that. Cold calling has been dead for a long time, but there's a new form of cold calling that is somewhat, well, I shouldn't say somewhat effective. It is effective, and it's done through social media and more specifically through LinkedIn. And of course, you see a quote from me on the lower left hand of that screen. I probably should have reversed those quotes. I say that, Gitomer says social media is a new cold call. I say LinkedIn is the ultimate in business social media, because business social media is where you want to be, not necessarily Facebook, not necessarily Twitter, but business social media. So why is LinkedIn the best? Well, for starters, it's got over 175 million members. Now, that statistic was true when I wrote the first version of this webinar back in October. Before presenting today, I went through it and updated several things. So I'm willing to bet that number is over 200 million members now. It's got executives from all Fortune 500 companies as members. So think about that. Fortune 500 are the largest companies in the world, and each and every Fortune 500 company, their executives are LinkedIn members. So people who were previously inaccessible are now accessible to you through LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you how to get to them. Well over 2 million companies and growing every day have LinkedIn pages. And again, like Gittimer said to me one day in conversation, we were brainstorming about how salespeople can use social media effectively, because most people try to use it, but they use it ineffectively because they don't know how. He made a comment that his 10,000 LinkedIn connections are worth far more than his 100,000 Facebook fans. And I get emails all the time for courses and products about how to get more Facebook fans, but nobody's talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where it's at. And I actually got an email several months ago from someone saying, how can you have any credibility as a sales or marketing expert when you only have about 600 Facebook fans? And my response was that I don't focus on Facebook. I focus on LinkedIn. I'm probably up to about 5,000 LinkedIn connections now, simply because the LinkedIn connections are where the money is at when you're in sales or marketing of any sort whatsoever. Now, I've nicknamed LinkedIn the Match.com of business, and here's why. Match.com has made dating easier for many. Think about what dating was like, and it's still like for many people who aren't up to speed with the internet. Before Match.com, it was all about going out to bars, going up to people, trying to approach, men approaching women, women trying to approach men. Really the same thing as cold calling. Not much of a difference between the two there, right? And then, of course, there's all those terrible blind dates that those of us who were single back in our single days, or those of us who are single, I hadn't been on many blind dates in my life, but not one of them were someone I'd actually want to date. And so that was the bad old world of dating. And then Match.com came along. And Match.com allows one to be very specific about finding the kind of person you want to be with. And so LinkedIn, likewise, has done the same thing, but in the sales world. It eliminates the time-wasting hassle of cold calling. It eliminates bad referrals. Now, a bad referral is like a bad blind date. I can't tell you how many times in my sales career, and even to this day, people say, oh, you should call so-and-so. They might be interested in what you've got. And then I call the person and they say, who the hell are you? Why are you calling me? No, I have no need for what you're selling. Goodbye. So with LinkedIn, again, you get to eliminate those bad referrals, and you get to find and acquire the referrals that you want. So that's why I say that LinkedIn is the Match.com of business. It helps you avoid all that time wasting, all that cold calling, all those bad referrals, and allows you to get around all of that and just be more effective and make a lot more sales and a lot more money very quickly and very easily. So let's briefly run through your goals with LinkedIn. The first and most obvious is connecting with new prospects. That's a given. It's called, the webinar is called How to Get Hot Leads with LinkedIn, because leads equal new prospects equal more sales. Another one is growing relationships with your customers. A lot of people don't think about this. A lot of salespeople make a sale and then they move on, and they don't build a relationship and even a friendship with their current customers, even though your current customers are going to be your best source for new leads and new referrals. Getting referrals to new prospects, another big part of LinkedIn, because like I said, after all, it is a networking platform. Getting referrals within your customers' own organizations. This is something else many salespeople overlook. Many of your customers may be big companies, Fortune 100, 500, Fortune 1000 companies, Inc. 500 companies if they're privately held. You may have one division of a company that bought your product or service and not even realize that another completely separate division may also need it. And so you can use your customers to refer you to other executives or other decision makers within other departments of that same company to get you more leads and more sales. Again, many salespeople overlook that. Another use of LinkedIn is building authority and creating raving fans. You can use LinkedIn. Let me backtrack a second here. One of the central premises of the Never Cold Called Again philosophy is turning yourself into an authority figure. LinkedIn helps you do that. I'm going to show you how to do that throughout the course of this webinar. And it helps you create raving fans. I'm going to show you how to do that too. You can use it to affect and enable viral marketing, or word of mouth about you spreads. And finally, you can use it to find a new job. Uh, People write to me all the time saying I'm selling this, whatever commodity product or widget that nobody wants. There's no way to come up with a value proposition or show how it's going to put money in their pocket. What's your advice? My advice is to switch industries or get a new job. Or somebody who's working for a hellish dictator manager who will not give them the freedom to do anything but cold call. And I say, quit your job, get a new one. And LinkedIn is very, very effective for finding a new job. Funny story, I got an email connection request, and the person was an IRS auditor. And of course, that made me a little nervous. I'm wondering why an IRS auditor wants to connect with me. So I did a little due diligence and found out that she hates her job at the IRS and wants to find an accounting job somewhere else. So there's a prime example of someone who is using LinkedIn to find a new job because LinkedIn is very, very effective at that. It's really a fabulous way to make yourself seen and get in touch with prospective employers so that you can get in front of them, show them why you're qualified, and get hired, and then get out of the job you don't like. So again, let's take a step back from LinkedIn, talk about networking in general. And the information on this slide refers to both online and offline networking. Salespeople typically fail at networking because they go in without a solid goal. They don't know what their end game is. So you have to define your end game in networking, whether it's at the chamber or at a leads club or whether it's online at LinkedIn. Salespeople typically fail to recognize in advance the kind of people who can best help them to achieve their goals. So what you want to do is something called reverse engineering to your networking. Do it online and offline, and it pays off big time. Reverse engineering is simply defining who do you want to be connected with, and then reverse engineer, put yourself in their shoes and figure out what it's going to take to become a contact with that person. So let's go through some of the fundamentals of LinkedIn because this lays a little bit of groundwork for some of the more advanced techniques I'm going to show you in a few minutes here. First of all, LinkedIn is a team sport. Any kind of networking takes two or more. This is a big contrast from one-way marketing. So email is one-way marketing, or blogging. Blogging can be seen as two-way marketing because people leave blog comments that you can respond to, but typically it's one-way marketing. Posting articles on sites like Facebook and LinkedIn is typically one-way marketing. And of course, traditional advertising like TV and radio and all that. Networking takes two or more. So as a result of that, you need to be proactive. You need to take personal initiative with LinkedIn. If I send out an email blast to my list, and most of you are here today because you're on my email list, you know that that's not proactive. I send out an email and then you either take action or you don't. With LinkedIn, you want to be proactive. You constantly want to be looking for ways to get engaged, get involved, and join conversations. You want to be responsive and answer inquiries. When you get messages, emails, or direct messages from your connections or members of groups that you're in, be responsive. Answer them right back. Show that you're a responsive person who will be trustworthy to buy from and to be a customer of. And of course, delayed gratification. Results come, but they're going to come over time. So some of the things I'm going to show you on LinkedIn today, they will start working very quickly, but a lot of it is delayed gratification and really laying the groundwork to be sure that setting up things right in advance will result in an avalanche of leads later on. Once again, I see people still logging into the webinar. If you're here late, don't worry. You will receive a replay video and a PDF of the presentation via email before the end of the week. So no worries about showing up late. No problem at all. So back to the presentation. Let's talk about initiating conversations on LinkedIn. The three principles of participating on LinkedIn are giving, posting, and sharing. Another is asking. You want to ask questions. You want to start discussions in LinkedIn groups and different areas of LinkedIn on thought-provoking topics relevant to your business, your product, or your service. And within LinkedIn groups that I'll talk about later, you want to start thought-provoking discussions there by asking thought-provoking questions. More importantly, you want to answer questions in discussions. Look for opportunities to give intelligent answers that actually help the person who asked the question And of course, sign it with your name and your email address or your name and your web address, because you're allowed to do that on LinkedIn. Thank people everywhere. Show gratitude. One of the principles of success, I don't care which success philosopher you're a fan of, whether it's someone like Napoleon Hill or Brian Tracy or Dan Kennedy or whatever the case might be, something you're going to hear from all of them is to give thanks and give gratitude, because that's one of the fastest ways to get more back from the world. So thank people on LinkedIn. If someone helps you out, or if someone answers a question, or contributes some thought-provoking or informational advice to one of your discussions, say thank you. And finally, here's one of the big rules of LinkedIn. You only want to contribute quality content. You're not going to sell. You're going to provide quality content that establishes you as an authority and a person of trust. Spamming LinkedIn will get zero results, except maybe an account ban. So you certainly don't want to go through everything I'm going to show you here to lay the groundwork and get everything set up properly, do all this work to turn your LinkedIn account into a printing press for leads, only to get your account banned because you're blatantly selling, which is going to be considered spam and can very easily get your account banned. And I've seen accounts get banned left and right. Sometimes even I'm the one flagging posts as spam because I get sick of seeing it from certain people. So let's talk about setting up your LinkedIn profile. First of all, you want to complete everything. Don't leave everything undone. If you do, you'll get a nice reminder every time you log into LinkedIn that you're missing some information on your profile. So complete, obviously, your name. That's a no-brainer. Your full job history, where you work now or what business you own, every single job you've held in the past or business you've been a part of. You want to add your location, current, as well as previous places you've lived, and add all of your areas of expertise. So for example, as a sales trainer, sales, selling, sales prospecting, cold calling, sales networking, referral selling, you can brainstorm 100 different areas of expertise that I have as someone who is an expert in general sales advice. You also want to customize your LinkedIn URL. When you register for LinkedIn, the link to your profile is going to be LinkedIn / and then a big garbage mess of random characters and numbers. So change that. You can edit that to, I edited mine to LinkedIn / Frank Romboskis. In retrospect, that wasn't the smartest idea because it's a hard last name to spell. I should have made it Never Cold Call or something like that. But the bottom line is customize your URL to your name, or if you got a difficult name, come up with something creative. Include a photo. The photo you see on the sample profile here is Julie, my PowerPoint, or in this case, Keynote designer, because I use a Mac. By the way, I've talked with her about making her services available to all of my customers as her schedule permits. So if you've got PowerPoints that you use to present to prospects, or if you speak at chambers of commerce groups or at Rotary clubs, which you should be, I'll be doing a future webinar on how to get sales through free speaking. You want to make sure that your profile is complete. And someone like Julie can help you with that, with customizing your presentations so that it will entice people to actually buy from you and to go to your website and to go to your LinkedIn profile and see your pretty face there and all that. Goals. Why are you on LinkedIn? There's a whole checklist of things you could check off. Make more sales, find more customers, reconnect with old friends, reconnect with old employers, find a new job. That's a biggie on LinkedIn. People go on there looking for a new job or a better job. And then education. Fill out everywhere you went to school, everything from grammar school to middle school to high school to college, vocational school, grad school, nursing school, law school, med school. Fill them all out. And the reason for this is it's going to enable you to connect with all the people who currently and previously have gone to those schools who are also on LinkedIn. And that's a big way to build your network. Building your network as large as possible is very important for a lot of reasons, and I'll go into more detail on that shortly here. Add all of your interests. Let me give you a good example of why you should do that here. A few years ago, I got slapped with a frivolous lawsuit, as all of our every business owner in the United States does. I know there are many people on the call here from the UK and Australia and New Zealand and Ireland, and I'm fully aware that you all make fun of us Americans as a suing society, as you call it, where everyone sues each other at the drop of a hat. Um, so I narrowed my search down to 3 lawyers to defend my case who covered that area of legal expertise. I was totally undecided. Well, one of my hobbies is ham radio, and it's not something I do much of anymore now that I'm a dad. I'd rather spend my free time with my daughter than playing on my ham radio. But my point is that on his profile, he listed that he's a ham radio operator, and there was my decision. Done deal. The other 2 lawyers were eliminated. I hired him, hired him, and paid him enough in fees to put his kids through college. But that's another story. List all of your websites, your company website, your personal website, as you should have, your blog site, as you should have. You should know all these things that you learned in Never Cold Call Again. Links to your Facebook profile, your Twitter link, all that good stuff. Groups and associations, chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs, PTA, anything you could think of. If you're a member of Leads Club, if you're a member of other networking groups, meetup groups, NetWeavers groups, BNI, list everything and everything you can think of. And then, of course, honors and awards. Every honor you've written or earned. Excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied here. Every award you've ever won. List them all because they give you a lot of credibility, and they also prop you up in searches when people are searching on topics that are relevant to those honors and awards. Bottom line is this: the more information you add to your LinkedIn profile, the easier you will be found both within LinkedIn and in Google searches. And that's important because I'm going to explain shortly about why there's such a close relationship between LinkedIn and Google. It's a big deal. Now, another factor that carries a lot of weight on LinkedIn is how many contacts do you have? The more LinkedIn connections you have, the more weight your profile carries. And once again, the higher it will show up when people are searching on LinkedIn. So use the built-in email invite feature to auto-invite contacts from all of your email programs. And it allows you to invite from Gmail, Yahoo, what are some of the free other ones? Hotmail/MSN, iCloud if you're a Mac user. You can also import contacts from email clients like Outlook or Apple Mail, things like that. When you do this, never use the default invitation text, the one that says, please join my professional network on LinkedIn. These are more and more being seen as spam, and people are denying them. So even though when you auto-invite people from your email programs, even though everyone's going to see the same invitation text, personalize it somehow, right? Hey, you're an email contact of mine. Love to chat or reconnect. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Something as simple as that. But whatever you do, don't use the default LinkedIn invitation because it's seen as spam and most people will reject it. Another way to maximize your contacts is to use the colleagues feature. Now, before I talked about listing every last school, every last employer, all that, everything you can think of, because when you do that, you now have access to people who currently or previously attend those schools or work at those companies and so on. So find the colleagues feature. That's something you could find on your own easily. I'm not going to waste time here on the webinar demonstrating that. And invite those people to your network. Again, do it with a semi-personal message like, hey, we both went to XYZ college. Let's connect and talk about the good old days there. Do schools, like I said. The other thing you want to do is take the URL after you've personalized the link to your LinkedIn profile, put it on all your email signatures, put it on all your websites, put it on all your blogs. Everyone, which is most of you, get my nevercoldcall.com newsletter, and you must have noticed by now that in the email footer, in that graphic at the bottom, there's the little chiclet button with a LinkedIn logo that connects to my LinkedIn profile. And of course, if you own my Never Cold Call Again system, you know that in the thank you receipt email, one of the first things I ask you to do is to connect with me on LinkedIn, because if you have questions or you need advice or help with the Never Cold Call course, that's the best way to reach me, is to send me a direct message on LinkedIn. But to do that, you have to connect with me first. And then, of course, add your LinkedIn URL to every one of your business cards, all your letterhead, your flyers, your marketing collateral, and every last thing you could think of that a prospective customer may see or may get their hands on. So now let's get into the good stuff. The foundation of getting hot leads from LinkedIn lies within LinkedIn groups. LinkedIn groups are extremely powerful. Now, here's one of the big reasons. There are a lot of reasons that I'm going to talk about over the next few slides, but here's one of the biggies. Within LinkedIn, by default, you cannot even look at the full profile of someone who is not within your first 3 degrees of connections, or 3 degrees of separation. On top of that, you can't directly connect with people, or not connect. You can't directly contact or directly message people who are not LinkedIn connections of yours. When you join a LinkedIn group, all of the above goes away with fellow group members. A fellow group member does not have to be in your first 3 degrees. You don't have to be a LinkedIn connection with any group member to connect with them and communicate with them directly and send and exchange and have conversations via direct messages. So that's one of the first biggies of LinkedIn groups. Participating in group discussions raises your visibility and increases your credibility. Posting valuable articles to LinkedIn groups does exactly the same. Now remember, it's all about quality content. No selling, no spamming, but writing valuable articles. You learn in the Never Cold Call Again system about writing valuable information articles that are jam-packed with useful tips and advice that your ideal prospects can use without trying to sell to them. And I tell you to post them on your blog, post them on sites like ezinearticles.com. Now there are sites like Quora, Quora, which I'll mention at a later slide, where you can post your articles. Post them to the LinkedIn groups that you join. Respond to discussions in LinkedIn groups with, again, valuable answers that build your authority and your credibility and show people that you are someone they want to do business with and someone they want to buy from. The best part is you can sign your answers to these discussions with your web address or with your email address. So I always sign them as Frank Romboscus, www.nevercoldcall.com. You could do the same with your web address or with your email address. This is permitted. The other nice thing is you can build relationships within LinkedIn groups prior to going to any group live meetings and decide if it's worth even going to the live groups to begin with. So much like meetup.com, a lot of LinkedIn groups actually have live meetings once a month or every other week or something like that. So here's the problem with regular networking groups. Before you go, you have no idea if they're worthwhile before you show up for the first time. And with meetup.com taking over the networking world, anyone and everyone with an internet connection can start a networking group. And so the quality of networking groups has slowly but surely been dropping. And I can tell you how many times I've gone to one and found out it was a waste of my time, which happens to be very valuable. I wasted drive time. I wasted gas money. I wasted spending $20 on lunch at a second-rate restaurant just to go to this networking group. But the good thing about LinkedIn groups is if you're in a group that has live events, you can participate in the group and get to know some of the people and see if there's any real value before you spend your valuable time going out to the live in-person meeting. So that's a really, really useful use for LinkedIn groups. Now let's get specific about what groups to join. First of all, industry networking groups. Search on LinkedIn for groups that are relevant to your industry and join them. If you are a real estate agent, join groups about real estate, things like that. Get creative. Somebody on the last session, when we did the Q&A, said, I sell final expense insurance. That's a really tough business to sell because nobody wants to talk about their funeral. So I said, get into groups about life insurance, get into groups about retirement planning, and you can provide useful info there. So get creative in thinking about what types of groups you want to join that are relevant to your product or your service. Join every alumni group. Every school you've gone to, find their LinkedIn group and join it. That one's a no-brainer. Same thing with employers. Go through every company you've worked for or have been an owner of or partner in, and if they have LinkedIn groups, join them. Groups of actual organizations you belong to. If you belong to Rotary Club or different chambers of commerce or PTA groups or things like that, join their LinkedIn groups. If they don't have a LinkedIn group, offer to set one up for them for free. It will not only help them and help you by having another group to join, but it will build your credibility and your value within that group. Good example here locally is the recent Chamber of Commerce I've joined here in Dallas. I've kind of gone the extra mile for them a little bit, and that's resulting in becoming a finalist to do full day seminars and things like that. And even though I won't be paid directly for that, I guarantee that it will result in paid speaking engagements. And chatting with Jeff Gitomer one day, one thing he mentioned to me is he's never spoken for free without eventually getting paid for it in one form or another, which is why I encourage salespeople to make sure you're going out to Rotary clubs and chambers of commerce and whatnot and offering to speak for free. And later on, I'm going to get to the really, really, really awesome part of this presentation, which is called my stealth groups strategy. But before we get to that, I need to get through some more basics of LinkedIn groups. Now, there's one step better, excuse me, than joining a LinkedIn group, and that's starting your own group. Running your own LinkedIn group gives you the most leverage and control, and most of all, it makes you the leader. Being in a leadership position is always far superior in the eyes of your prospects and prospective customers than simply being a participant or a member. Now, remember, rule one is give value first, no selling. So start a LinkedIn group, but keep it informational. I see I made a typo there. I wrote keep it information, should be informational. Sorry about that. But the bottom line is your goal is to help people. Now, here's where it gets interesting. First thing you want to do is invite all of your best customers. Every customer who absolutely loves you needs to be invited to your LinkedIn group. And of course, after that, invite all of your customers who don't have a problem with you. So every customer who is not dissatisfied needs to be a part of your group, but the priority is getting all of your best customers, making sure they all join your LinkedIn group. Do not invite problem customers. We've all had problem customers. There are 1% of people in the world will never be happy, never be satisfied with anything, no matter how much you've bent over backwards to help them. We've all experienced this. You don't want them in their group because they're going to trash talk you and try to make you look bad. If any of them join unsolicited, just kick them out and block them. That's simple as that. Once you've got all your best customers, all your non-problem customers, invite all of your prospects, starting with your best prospects first. Highest dollar value prospects, prospects who are on the fence, people who you think are going to buy, but they're not there yet. Get them in the group. Let me tell you why. The purpose of building communities of prospects and customers, obviously first and foremost, is to create an outlet to provide them with ongoing valuable information that builds your trust and your credibility. But second, and possibly even more importantly, is to let your best prospects hear from your best customers about how great you and your product or service are. LinkedIn groups makes this easier than setting up an online discussion forum. I no longer teach in my Never Cold Call course to set up an online discussion forum because it takes some technical skill and expertise, and you have to pay a programmer half the time. But with LinkedIn, it's super dirt easy. It takes a few clicks of a mouse to set up a group. The added benefit is I could bet you any amount of money that probably all of your customers and all of your prospects are already LinkedIn members already, so they can join your group with a few clicks of a mouse. And so it's all about letting your prospects hear from your customers about how great you are and how satisfied they are with you. It's really a big deal, and it's really effective. And by the way, this is not even the stealth strategy I'm going to show you later. I've not even gotten to the good stuff yet. When you start a group, post regularly to the group. Again, valuable content only. Post at least 2 or 3 times a week, if not daily. If you post once a week or once a month, people are going to lose interest, drop out of your group, start ignoring it. It also won't carry as much weight in LinkedIn when people are searching groups. The more active and bigger the group, the higher it's going to rank when people search for LinkedIn groups. The best strategy, the one that I use that you have probably noticed, is to write a post to your blog. By the way, you need to have a blog. Just set up a free blog on WordPress or Blogger, or pay $15 a month for one of the more premium ones like Typepad. So you make your blog post, then repost all of your blog posts to all of your LinkedIn groups for maximum exposure. Many of you are here today because I do that. You're LinkedIn members, and you see that my blog posts get reposted to my LinkedIn groups. That's how you found me. And then, of course, you want to use Twitter to feed your blog post to other social media properties like Facebook and Quora and others like that. Now, if you're a busy person like me, if you're a business owner or a VP of sales and you're listening to this and you just don't have time to do all this yourself, within a LinkedIn group, you could designate up to 10 other group members to be managers or moderators of your group. If you're a salesperson and you're busy, team up with a coworker or a referral partner and split the duties of managing and moderating the group and agree to split the leads that come from the group. It's as simple as that, and it's a great way to really make this time effective yet still sales effective for everyone involved. Be sure to post articles in the news section of your group. Constantly start new discussions, thought-provoking discussions about your industry, your product, your service. Actively participate in open discussions. Create events. Let's talk about events for a minute. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. There's a book that came out last year called The Face-to-Face Book. I don't remember the author's first names, but the last names are Keller and Fay. I'll type that into the chat box here. Highly recommend reading this book. The point of the book is that despite the surge in social media and the effectiveness of social media and properties like LinkedIn, the reality is that 90% of business still happens and is still closed face-to-face, even if you make the initial connection on LinkedIn. Generally, you still meet with someone, and that's how the deal gets closed. But how do you get to that meeting? Well, there's an events feature in LinkedIn groups. You can create events, whether they be online webinars like this one or in-person live events. Go to a local restaurant. I go to meetup groups all the time, and the restaurant provides a meeting room for free, knowing full well that they're going to make their money back on all the meals and drinks that people are going to purchase at that meeting. So you can use your group to create and schedule events and invite all of your group members. And again, whether you do a GoToMeeting like this or a live event, then you can announce it within your group. It's a really, really great way to build your network and, again, build your leadership and your image as an authority figure and a leader of a group and not just a participant. If you don't have time, or if you just want to add more content to your group, invite outside experts to write articles for you, for the group, or go to free repost sites. Go to eZineArticles.com or GoArticles.com, one of those sites where they're free reprint articles. All you have to do is copy and paste the article on the condition that you include the author's information and post those to your group if you find them to be valuable. Again, it's a great way to find content for your group if you don't have the time or if you're a slow writer or anything like that. Group moderation, this is important. Delete spammy posts. You're invariably going to get spam posts for Viagra or for get-rich-quick schemes or for, the old Nigerian, send us your bank account number and we'll send you $1 billion, while meanwhile they actually drain your bank account. So delete spam, delete malicious posts against you. I deal with this. Most people deal with this. You're going to have competitors who join your group under a fake name just to trash talk you. Delete all of those posts, whether they come from fake names or from problem customers, and then ban those people from your group. It's your group. You're in control. You're the leader. Kick them out, ban them, and delete their negative posts. Introductions. Let's talk about that for a second. A key component of the Never Cold Call philosophy is to stop being seen as a salesperson, but instead as a trusted business advisor, someone your prospects and customers can look up to for advice. Making valuable introductions goes a long, long way toward accomplishing this. And you can do this through LinkedIn. When you identify 2 or more people in your group who can benefit from each other, make an introduction. And there's even a feature in LinkedIn, if you find it, I think it's under Profile, under the main navigation menu, where you can actually do a connect 2 people together and make an introduction. This builds your value big time, and it also brings you good karma because you're helping people out. You're connecting someone who's selling something that the other person needs and create a win-win situation. Growing your group, just like growing your LinkedIn connections, you've got to grow your LinkedIn group. So ask your group members to invite their colleagues and their LinkedIn connections. And this is where things go viral, as the catchphrase says. Another thing you want to do, just like adding your LinkedIn URL to all of your email signatures, your business cards, your marketing collateral, do the same with a link to your LinkedIn group. Put it in your email signature, put it in your blog post signatures, your article signatures, things like that. Spread the word about your group. It's a really, really big deal to grow it and make sure new members are always joining. Now, another key factor to remember about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn carries very powerful Google weight. Your LinkedIn profile will appear at or near the top of search results for your name. So if you type my name into Google, you're going to see my LinkedIn profile. If you type your name into Google and you set up your LinkedIn profile correctly, it's going to show up at or near the top of search results. And so, as Jeffrey Gitomer says, whether you like it or not, as soon as you leave a prospect's office or hang up the phone with a prospect, one of the first things they do is Google you. So you want to make sure what they see in Google is helpful. Most of them will go to your LinkedIn profile. And so you want to populate that profile with as many LinkedIn recommendations as you can possibly get. So let's talk about that for a little bit. First of all, don't use LinkedIn itself to ask for recommendations. What you want to do is identify your very best customers, call them, email them if you have to, drop by in person if it's convenient, ask them for a recommendation to post on your LinkedIn profile. People are busy. Business owners, executives, they're busy people. So be prepared to write the recommendation for them. Even do this in advance if you feel it's appropriate, and just get their okay to just give it to them and have them post it on LinkedIn as a recommendation to your profile. And by the way, when someone posts a LinkedIn recommendation, you get to moderate those. They don't just show up on your profile. So again, if an enemy or competitor wants to say something bad about you, you don't have to post that. You can only approve the positive recommendations. Another great way to get LinkedIn recommendations is to employ the law of reciprocity. Write a recommendation first and then watch them write one for you in kind. It works. It happens all the time, so do it. Write a recommendation about your best customers, about how great them and their company or their product or service is, and watch how fast you get one back. Use LinkedIn status updates. Use status updates to keep your network informed. Again, if you're a LinkedIn connection of mine, you've seen that I use status updates to announce events like this webinar, to post my blog posts, repost them on LinkedIn, things like that. You can post links, like I said, put new articles, blog posts, blah, blah, blah. One of the more powerful uses of this is to post specials, to post promotions, limited time offers, other deals that might get potential buyers off the fence. So 15 years ago, when I was selling business phone systems, of course, LinkedIn didn't exist yet. The internet barely existed yet. But one of the most powerful headlines I used on my flyers and on my direct mail letters is occasionally the company would offer free installation for a month on new phone systems. And if you never bought a business phone system, installation could be expensive. If it's a brand new office where we have to do the wiring and all that, it could be extremely expensive, sometimes as much as 40% of the cost of the actual equipment. So if your company or your business is running a promo that you think people need to know about to get prospective buyers off the fence, or even to get brand new prospects interested in you, people who don't even know about you yet, use your LinkedIn status updates to get that message out to the world. And one of the cool things about updates is you can choose who will see them. You can send them to all of your connections, you can post updates to all of your groups, or you can do it to specific individuals. When I repost my blog posts, I post them to all of my connections and then to all of my LinkedIn groups that allow posts from members. The LinkedIn events feature, I mentioned this briefly a little while ago. Host a free webinar, sign up for a GoToMeeting account. You do it for free for 30 days because they have a trial. Or set up a free seminar in the Never Cold Call Again system. I talk about getting a free meeting room at a local restaurant to do a free seminar. Or you can even have your own networking mixer. Why not start a networking event where you are the leader Invite all of your customers, invite your best prospects. You're going to help yourself by helping other people connect, and you're going to make more connections in the process. Use the LinkedIn Events feature to promote your event to connections and announce it to the world. One caveat, this may have changed, but because things change so happen, it may have happened this morning before we even did this. This feature is only available to US LinkedIn subscribers at this time. Like I said, I could be wrong, so if you're in Canada or the UK or Australia or any other country in the world, go ahead and try to use LinkedIn Events. And like I said, things change constantly on the internet, so this feature by now may be available to you. Once you posted your LinkedIn event, ask your connections who RSVP, ask your group members to share the event with their connections. Now, there is a limitation on this. People who RSVP to your event can share it with up to 50 of their connections. That's not such a limitation if you ask me. If 20 people RSVP to your event and each shares it with 50 other people, that's 1,000 people who now know about your event. So it might be a limitation, but to me, it's not much of a limitation. It's still a pretty huge number of people who you can get your event out to. Now, here's a big change since I first did this webinar back in October of 2012. I did a whole feature on how to use LinkedIn Answers. The bad news is LinkedIn Answers is long gone. LinkedIn shut it down. They didn't give a rhyme or reason. I was very disappointed to see that it's gone. It's still annoying to Google stuff and then see that it was on LinkedIn Answers and that the page is gone. So LinkedIn Answers is history. But what I use now, my two favorite question and answer sites are Quora.com and MosaicHub.com in place of LinkedIn Answers. I get weekly email alerts. Basically, what you do when you register for these sites is you can click off what your areas of expertise are. So mine are sales, marketing, internet marketing, search engine marketing, and so on. And then I get a weekly email alert about discussions or questions that have been asked in my areas of expertise. And then I'll go in and spend an hour, 1 day a week, just answering questions. So those are the sites I like. No need to jot those down now because you're going to get a PDF of this presentation after the fact. But anyway, bottom line, LinkedIn Answers is gone. So that's one letdown since the last time I presented this webinar. Finding people within LinkedIn. Before I get into my stealth method of really how to clean up and turn LinkedIn into a printing press for money for you, is defining the people you want to find on LinkedIn. 3 categories. Most obvious, new customers. Duh, we're here to get more leads and more sales. So we want to find new customers on LinkedIn. That's priority number 1. Number 2 is new referral partners. Referral selling is big. The best lead in the world is a referral from a trusted person. So LinkedIn is a great way, probably one of the best ways in the world to find new referral partners. Networking groups are not, because typically they only allow 1 person per industry, but LinkedIn, the sky's the limit. There are no limits on who you can connect with. And then competitors. People don't think about networking with their competitors, but there are very good reasons to connect with your competitors, be friends with them, and network with them. And even though you're probably shaking your head thinking I'm crazy, I'm going to show you within the course of this webinar how you can effectively network with your competitors, help each other out, and increase both of each other's businesses. So you find people on LinkedIn using the Google Site tool. This is what that is. The example I give here is, let's say you live in Phoenix and you're looking for people in advertising sales, either to check out your competition or to find new referral partners, or even to find new prospects and customers. For example, in my search engine marketing business, we get most of our business from traditional advertising agencies who sell TV and radio and print advertising, who need someone like us to give internet marketing services to their clients who've been asking for them. So if you're in Phoenix and you want to search for people in advertising sales, what you do is go to Google and you type it in the format you see towards the bottom of the slide there. So site:/linkedin.com space, quote, advertising sales, unquote, and then Phoenix. So it's site:/linkedin.com, the type of industry you're looking for in quotes, and then your location after a space without quotes. And so before putting this webinar together, I actually did that search, and this is what I found. And search result number one, you can see there in purple, that means I clicked on it, advertising sales, Phoenix, Arizona profiles on LinkedIn. And so I clicked on that link, I went to that page, and voila, here's what I found. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people who are within that category that I'm looking for, people in advertising sales in Phoenix. I can see that one is already a connection of mine. The second person down, the third person down, Carrie, she's not a connection, but that little group thing means that we are in a group together, which means I can communicate with her directly without being a contact. Pretty cool. So you can use the same strategy to connect with hard to reach but high value prospects. You'll be really, really surprised at how many people who are inaccessible by phone or inaccessible by email will read and reply to direct messages or emails you send them on LinkedIn. So, for example, you see second from the bottom, Lori is a VP of sales. VPs of sales are usually pretty hard to reach in traditional methods, but you would be surprised at how easy they are to get on LinkedIn. In-mails are the way you can send a direct message to someone who is not a connection of yours or who is not in who does not share a group membership with you. In-mails are available by paid membership plans. Each higher level of LinkedIn paid membership gives you more in-mail credits per month. I think the basic membership plan is $15 a month, which gives you 15 in-mails. So basically it's $1 per in-mail credit. But like I said, by using groups, you're going to be able to find people who are in your groups, and then you don't have to use credits. And of course, if someone's connected to you, you don't have to use an in-mail credit to connect with them. So leveraging your results. When you find those people, let me go backtrack here. So here are people you want to be connected with. So first thing you can do is look at their profiles and join their groups within limitations. I say within limitations because at this time, LinkedIn gives you a maximum of 50 groups that you can be members of at any one time. Having said that, that's a lot of groups. That's probably, I don't even think I belong to 50 groups. So it's within limitations, but 50 is a pretty high number. Once you're in the same group, connect with directly with personalized messages. Another thing that you could do is look at who their connections are and mine them for leads or referral sources. It's a rule. It's a no-brainer that someone who is your ideal customer or your ideal prospect, they are going to be connected to their peers, and their peers are also going to be your direct or your ideal customers and your ideal prospects. Now, connect with your competitors. This is where I said you probably think I'm crazy, but here's some examples. Here's how I did it. I worked with my competitors and I was in the phone business every chance I got, and we exchanged leads. So an example is that selling AT&T, which eventually became Lucent phone systems, we were the highest priced competitor in the industry, bar none. Now, a good example is when I got a lead, when I started learning how to qualify out, I asked someone what their budget is, and they might say they have a $5,000 budget for a new phone system. I tell them up front, my minimum price, even for a bare bones system, is going to be $8,000, but I know someone who can help you out. And so I'd flip that lead to someone at a low cost provider like NEC or at Samsung on the condition that I got a commission split, because I've just given them a qualified lead that they didn't have to prospect for. They get an easy sale. We split the commission. It is a win-win situation. Likewise, if they encountered a complex sale, that their lower cost equipment didn't have the features or the capabilities that mine did, they would give me that lead, and then once again, we would split the commission. So don't avoid your competitors. Most salespeople avoid their competitors. You want to be connected with your competitors and find areas that they don't serve, areas that you don't serve, where you can exchange leads and split commissions and just become friends and brainstorm and mastermind. You'll not only make a lot of new sales and make a lot more money this way, but you will make a lot more new friends this way. And I'm making a note here about competitors. This just gave me the idea that I should probably do an entire webinar in the future about how to make friends and get sales and mutually benefit with your competitors. So I just wrote that down as an idea for a future webinar. A great example is that many sales authors are technically my competitors, but many are friends. We help each other out. I am friends with many sales authors. I mentioned Jeffrey Gitterer's name earlier. We help each other out. I promote for him. He recommends me. With estimated 20 million salespeople in the U.S. alone, not even counting all of the other countries, English-speaking countries that buy my products, there's more than enough business that neither of us will ever step on each other's toes, no matter how much we promote for each other or help each other out. You can do the same with your competitors. Speaking and being friends with fellow sales authors, author Dave Lakhani said, gave the advice that if you make one introduction each day between people who can benefit from each other, you will profit beyond your wildest dreams. And LinkedIn gives you a great, great opportunity to do this. Becoming a value connector will pay dividends in many ways, including more and more introductions and more sales for you. Make it a rule to do one introduction per day. And LinkedIn, you could probably do that right now. You could probably think of enough people to do this for the next month via email. But once you build a big LinkedIn network, it becomes literally unlimited. So become a valued connector. Won't spend too much time on that because I want to get to the really good part of this presentation. So finding new prospects, you want to start with your end game. You need to define your ideal prospects. Most salespeople go out and start prospecting without really defining who the ideal prospect is. So here's how you do that. Identify your best customers and make a list of all the qualities and all the characteristics of your best customers. Then make a list of your worst customers and make the same list, all of their characteristic qualities, all of the things that define them, and then put that into one list. Add all the qualities of your best customers, delete or remove all the qualities of your worst customers. You now have a profile of who your ideal prospect is. You've got to define that target prospect before starting what I'm about to show you. Before I get into that, just a side note, you can use LinkedIn alerts to find your ideal prospects and referral partners on autopilot. Let me backtrack a slide here. I just showed you how to find your ideal, how to define your ideal prospects. Here's how to find them. Do a search on LinkedIn for your ideal target prospect or ideal person, whether that's a prospect or a valued referral partner. Once you've done that and those search results are showing on the page, you can go to the upper right and there's a place where you can save the search. And what happens then, choose real-time search, by the way, or real-time automated email notifications, not daily or weekly or monthly. But what's going to happen, it will save that search. And every single time a new person joins LinkedIn who fits your criteria of your ideal prospect, you will instantly get an email from LinkedIn saying, this person who fits your search criteria has just joined LinkedIn. Connect. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, now here's where I get to the core of the presentation. Here's where I want you to pay attention, stop taking notes, because you're going to get a replay video by the end of the week. You're going to get a PDF of this presentation before the end of the week, so pay attention. Now, a little bit of background on the stealth method. I mentioned before that I own another company that does online lead generation and search engine marketing for business. We're a certified Google partner company. We're probably the best in the world at what we do. In developing my sales force over the last 3 years, developing what works, I discovered and developed what I call my stealth method for LinkedIn. This is the most powerful part of this presentation, the most powerful thing you can do on LinkedIn. So pay attention here. We've already talked about defining your perfect customer. I just did that 2 slides ago. So you know who your perfect customer is, who your ideal prospect is. First thing you want to do is narrow that down by niches or industries. And then once you've done that, drill down even further. So let me give you a good example. We did a dental trade show 2 months ago here in Dallas in my search engine marketing company to promote to dentists. But within the dental profession, since we're selling online advertising and online visibility and lead generation, we want to identify the people with the highest profit margins. The people who have the highest profit per service or product sold are the ones who are willing to spend the most to promote that product or service. So within the dental profession, it's cosmetic dentists that we go after because they're the ones who will spend big bucks. The more specific you can get, the better. And what one of the first questions that I've taught my sales reps to do when they go into an initial appointment to sell search marketing services is to ask the client or the prospective client in descending order which products, which services give you the highest net profit margin. And they're more than happy to do that because, first of all, you've just shown that you have a brain versus every other sales rep that comes in and asks stupid, dumbass questions like, well, tell me about your business and what are your goals for the next 5 years? So, walk in, your first question is, tell me in descending order which products and services give you the highest net profit. That's how we identify what we are going to promote online. And so you want to relate that mindset of thinking like a business owner, thinking like a financial person, a CFO, to your business. So step one, before I get too verbose here and run out of time, is to identify and drill down as much as possible and get as specific as possible the kind of prospects, the kind of industries, products, and services that they sell that you're looking for. So step two in the stealth method is on that main LinkedIn menu bar, go to groups and then scroll down to groups directory and click on that. And then what you want to do is start searching for LinkedIn groups based on the target you've come up with. So in this example here, I type in cosmetic dentists, all LinkedIn members, not just my connections. I clicked on open groups in this example because these are groups that you can join without approval or without a private invitation. And then I clicked English because I speak English. Obviously, you want to click whatever language you want. One of my sales reps happens to be bilingual. He goes after the Spanish speaking market here in Dallas. So click the appropriate language. Of course, in my case, it's English. And then I didn't show you all the search results, but here's search result number one that comes up because it is absolutely ideal. Here we've got an open LinkedIn group called Dental Practice Management. This group is about growing dental practices through ethical. So right there, my business is about growing other people's businesses. So this group is about growing dental practices through ethical, blah, blah, blah. General dentists, orthodontists, endodontists, periodontists. It has 866 members. So by using the stealth method, I've just found a LinkedIn group that has 866 members who are my ideal prospects that I want to go after. Once you go into the group, you click on it, and you're going to see this summary. Click on the summary button, and you'll see 866 members. And you look at who the seniority, who the membership makeup is. A huge percentage are owners, a huge percentage are directors, chief executive officers. Bing, this is a group I want. This is awesome. So here is a huge opportunity to get in front of a huge number of the people I want. And by the way, where you see that that senior owner entry, that little bar graph area of who's who in the group, if you hover over those bars, it'll show you the exact numbers if you want to get specific about it. In this case, there were 245 senior managers, 184 owners, and then so on down the list. Seeing that this is a prospect-rich group, and that is a open group, meaning you don't need an invitation or approval to get in, click on that yellow button that says Join Group inside that big blue circle, and voila, you are a member. All right, step three in my stealth method. Start participating in the group. Big red flag here. Absolutely do not sell right away. Do not try to sell yourself, your business, your product. If you do, your post might be deleted as the moderator. They might be marked as spam. And worst of all, you'll be banned from the group after you just went to all that trouble to find a prospect-rich group. So bottom line, no selling yet. Work the group like you'd work any other LinkedIn group. Participate in the group, start discussions, answer questions, and give valuable information everywhere and wherever possible. So start building a reputation of yourself as a person of value, a person that the members of the group respect, a person, again, going back to the basics of the never cold call again philosophy, someone who is a trusted business advisor to them. That's your goal in participating in the group. So step number 4 of my stealth method. Obviously, before starting step number 4, you need to have spent some time on number 3, and of course, that is establishing high trust and high value within your group, high credibility. Next thing you want to do is develop an irresistible offer, something that those in the group who've come to trust and respect you will jump at. I'm going to give me a second here while I type in the chat box. I just typed in the title and author of a book. It's called The Irresistible Offer by Mark Joyner, who's also a friend of mine, fellow author. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author. He's an absolute genius on internet marketing. He actually invented the ebook back in the 1990s, so that goes to show how high his prominence and credibility is. So read Mark's book. If you can't think of an irresistible offer offhand, I'm going to give you some examples here. What an irresistible offer is, it's not a USP. It's not a unique selling proposition. A USP is sales puke. What an irresistible offer does, it gives something of real value up front, gives them something instead of telling people about how great you are. Okay. And so when I sold phone systems, for example, I used to do free consultations on call centers where I'd go in for free. I asked for nothing in return. And I would do an analysis. I'd find lost calls. I'd find where people were hanging up because they were on hold too long. People got transferred to the wrong department. People's calls were lost because transfers were dropped. We've all had that happen to us. Then I found out what percentage of calls turn into customers, what's your average revenue per call, and voila, based on the problems I found, you're losing $10,000 a month. Here's how to fix it. You're free to fix it, try to figure out how to do it yourself. You're free to go to another cheaper phone system provider to buy the solution, or you can buy it from me. 95% of the people bought from me because by doing this, I established so much trust and credibility and value that they didn't want to deal with anyone else. They wanted to buy from me just to have me on their team. And so what we do in my internet marketing online lead generation business, ROI Media, is we offer a Google AdWords review, or we offer to do a new Google AdWords campaign for free based on certain criteria. And so, like I said, continuing with step 4 of my stealth method, we offer a free AdWords review or consultation, or we even offer to build a simple free AdWords campaign. Now, here's the catch. In exchange for a LinkedIn recommendation for the sales rep to post on his or her LinkedIn profile. Now, again, you post your free offer in your groups only after you have established value and trust and proven that you are an expert in your industry or in your field of expertise. So I'm going to show you an example of one of the free irresistible offers that we post or that my sales reps post in LinkedIn groups to which they've established a high level of trust and credibility. So again, dental is a very competitive field. Everyone knows how many dentists are in their city. I'm willing to bet there are at least a few dentists on this webinar, simply because a lot of you guys and gals buy my product. Same thing with lawyers and other professionals. They're all competitive fields. In fact, my sinus doctor, when I lived in San Antonio, I had terrible allergies, just like everybody else who lives there. And we got to be friends, and he actually I gave him my products. I don't know why, after all the thousands of dollars I gave him in medical fees, but he uses these strategies to build his practices, and they work. So here's a real life example of something we post in LinkedIn groups that's an irresistible offer. I'm not going to read the whole thing for the sake of time. You can read it later when you get the PDF download. We basically say we're a certified Google partner company. We specialize in lead generation for practices exactly like yours, using Google as a source of those leads, blah, 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 blah. Gets to the point. We are offering to do an absolutely free review and free audit and recommendation on your Google AdWords account. No cost, no obligation. If you don't have a Google AdWords account, we will build a basic one for you. Again, absolutely free, and we'll even give you a $100 coupon for free advertising on Google because we get those, an unlimited number of those for free as a certified Google partner company. This will put your ad on your website at the very top of Google in your town within 48 hours, which is sure to grow your practice quickly. And then, of course, the catch. In return for this, we require that you provide me with a solid recommendation for my LinkedIn profile. And in fact, we actually write the recommendation for them and just get their okay for it and then have them post it. Then we tell them, unfortunately, since we're not charging for this, we can only limit this to 3 or 4 dentists since the work is time consuming and we're not being paid for it. We do this for 2 reasons. First of all, it's true. We can only do so much free work to make it worth our while. But we also want to create a sense of urgency and get those 3 or 4 people to immediately direct message us and say, sign me up. And in doing that, we've also just guaranteed that we're going to get 3 or 4 stellar, glowing recommendations for our LinkedIn profiles. So there's one example of how we do it. Here's another example. The first one was about Google AdWords. This one is about search engine optimization. We start off with this opening line. Again, you have to build value in your LinkedIn group before you can do this. By the way, we're running late. It's 22 minutes after the hour. This is scheduled for 90 minutes, but we went 2 hours on the 11 a.m. session, and I'm more than happy to go 2 hours on this one to do as much Q&A as possible. If anyone has to leave before then, don't worry, you're going to get the recording. So back on track here to the webinar. Is your website generating new business, or in this case, new patients? We start off, as a result of my expertise in internet marketing and many discussions in this group, several people have messaged me asking questions about how they can improve their website and their traffic. Blah, 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 blah. We will give you a free, complete, and extensive website review and ranking report. This is something that we actually do charge $500 for, because even though it takes 30 seconds to type the web address into the report software, it takes several hours for the server to sit there and grind away to generate the report. The cost, $0. All we ask for is a glowing LinkedIn recommendation for my profile. And once again, because we're doing this for free and I have to devote most of my time to paying clients, which, by the way, is a really great credibility factor. It's like, wow, dude, this guy spends his time on his paying clients. I would like to be one of those paying clients. I can only do this for 2 or 3 of you. So again, that builds scarcity. So the first people I hear from will get the service. So once again, you're going to get 2 or 3 people. Well, you're going to get more than that, but you take the first 2 or 3 to keep it honest. Don't take 10 people when you advertise only 2 or 3. Then ask them in exchange for glowing recommendations for your profile. So stealth method number 5, step 5, follow up. Watch your inbox closely. Have your email alerts turned on, because you're going to get very, very fast responses to your irresistible offer. Reply back to people immediately. When someone sends you a message saying, yes, I want to be a part of this, make sure you reply back immediately. Thank them for contacting you. Give them a time frame to complete the offer and get all the information you need. Now, oh, by the way, on the time frame, overpromise. No, wait. Underpromise and overdeliver. That's what I meant to say. As a rule, we tell people that they'll get their free report in 3 business days. We deliver it in 1 business day, because that makes you look even better and makes you look like a person who delivers on their promises. Now, as a side note, you're not going for a sale yet. What you're doing with this is employing the law of compensation, or some people might call it the law of reciprocity, or the principle of going the extra mile, to lay the groundwork, number 1, to make a sale, and number 2, more importantly, to really cash in on LinkedIn by getting a ton of LinkedIn recommendations to put on your profile. Now, I'm also going to tell you that a lot of people will not only be interested in this, but by seeing the kind of value you're willing to offer, they are going to say, let's skip this free review process. I just want to buy from you and sign up for your service. So get out of the way. Don't do the free review. Just sign them up and let them buy. And believe me, this will happen more often than you think. Like I said, just offering such a high value service for free with no expectation of reward or return will get people buying from you almost immediately. So get into action right away, exceed their expectations, and complete the work before your promised date. Like I said, we quote 3 days, we deliver in 1. Next thing you want to do, I said earlier not to use the LinkedIn request recommendations tool. In this case, you do want to use that, because there's an expectation that you're going to ask for a recommendation. So after you deliver your report, go up to profile on the main menu, and then drop down to recommendations, click on request recommendations, type in the person's name, and send a recommendation request. Now, remember, this is a long-term strategy. You're laying a foundation for long-term LinkedIn success. Even though you will cash in pretty quickly on a few sales by doing this, it's all about getting those recommendations and testimonials. And by the way, when I get a LinkedIn recommendation, I copy and paste that to my website, and I use them in my email newsletters, and you should do the same as well. And by the way, the best time to ask for the recommendation is 1 business day after you deliver your free report or your free service or whatever irresistible offer you're delivering for free to this person. At that point, it's time to start selling. You've delivered what you promised on, so start selling. Send them a report or a proposal detailing the products or services they need and say, look, I've done the free service, the free analysis, I've shown you the problems. Here's how we can fix it, and here's what you also need to improve your business. And in doing that, you want to give them headlines and bullet points. There should be pain points, show them where the pain is, and then third-party proof of why the pain points are pain points, and then third-party testimonials of how you've corrected other similar businesses' pain points. And by the way, this applies to all self-marketing. You want to have stuff like this on all of your flyers, your business cards. On the back of our business cards for the search engine marketing company, we've got the Google certified partner logo and then some statistical bullet points about how online marketing provides 80% of leads to businesses nowadays in 2013 at only 15% of the overall marketing costs. So things like that, you want to have that everywhere. Here's some examples we use in our business. I just quoted the one on the upper right side of the screen, if it ever loads. There we go. Search engine marketing delivers 80% of leads to businesses and only 15% of the marketing or advertising budget. On the top left there, search engine optimization has become the top lead source for both B2B and B2C businesses. And somehow or another, I put that quote on there twice. That's on the bottom right there. Sorry about that. Moving on to stealth method, step number 7. When you deliver your report, give solutions to each of their problems that you can find. In delivering a report, I recommend a service called Proposable.com, and just so everybody has that, type that into the chat box. Again, please don't click on the link and leave the webinar, but that's for your reference. Proposable.com is pretty wild. It lets you send an online proposal. The prospect clicks a link to look at the proposal, but it gives you a lot of insight and a lot of analysis, and quite frankly, lets you play. It's almost like standing over the prospect's shoulder as they're reading your old-fashioned paper proposal, which you should not be doing paper proposals anymore. You want to go digital, and here's why. It's going to let you see detailed analytics about how much time the prospect spent on each section of your proposal. So let's say you propose 3 options to a prospect, which is usually a pretty good number. Prospect spends 20% reading about product number 1. Prospect spends 60% reading about product number 2. And the prospect spends 20% of her time reading about prospect number 3. Guess what? The prospect wants to buy product number 2 because that's where all the time was spent. And when you do a proposal, so those 2 words 5 times in a row fast, you get an analytics screen within your account that looks something like this. So you can see that there were 6 total views on your proposal. The prospect viewed your proposal for 6 minutes and 2 seconds. First view was on 1/29/10 at 2:29 p.m. Blah, blah, blah. You could see, like I said earlier, on the last slide, how much time was spent looking at each section of the proposal. On other areas of the program, you can also see how many times it was forwarded. And by the way, if your proposal is being forwarded to other people in the organization, that's a big flag to you that they want to buy. Your contact, whether it's the CEO, whether it's an office manager, they're forwarding it along. They're saying, we need to look at this, because if they're not interested, they're not going to forward it to other people. So it's a really, really powerful tool. The other neat thing about Proposable.com is notifications. The instant your prospect opens your proposal, you are going to get a text message notification on your cell phone. This is pretty cool. Now, I've always recommended calling the prospect 30 to 60 minutes after they open your proposal. 60 minutes is pretty good. Bottom line is you want to do it while it's still fresh, while it's still hot in their mind, and while they're still interested in buying. Talking and experimenting. I had a conversation with Gittimer the other day, and we talked more about going as long as half a day, so it's not so obvious that you're playing Big Brother with them and or looking too desperate. But definitely no more than half a day max. But I'm still kind of in that 1 hour frame of mind to contact someone after they open your proposal. There's another program called pointofmail.com. You can use that on any email program. So whatever email client you use, you can integrate pointofmail.com, and then that way when you send an email to a prospect, you receive a text message the instant they open your email. And again, you can contact them an hour, 2 hours later, while it's still in their mind, or half a day later, so you can follow up. You should be using these tools with all your proposals and all of your emails that go out to prospects. And then here, this is just a shot of what a proposable notification looks like on an iPhone. It says here, web design estimate has just been viewed for the first time. So it's one example of what it looks like. Some more LinkedIn tools. Let's talk about that for a minute. Use LinkedIn to find the correct decision makers within a company or within a business. Usually you're going to try to get pushed off to the wrong decision maker, someone who's low on the totem pole, an office manager, a buying agent, purchasing agent. You want to deal with an executive. So go to the company page of your target company and find the right decision maker for your product or service. For me, I do sales training. Part of my business is I go out to a company, I spend a full day on site, and for a fixed fee, I spend the morning 8 to 12 teaching them how to prospect and generate leads. We break for lunch for an hour, and then I spend 1 to 5 teaching them how to develop, how to write proposals, and how to close sales. It's a big part of my business. By the way, if you're a sales VP or a CEO, contact me after and let's talk about that. And so if I want to approach an organization and I just completely by random picked a company, I don't even know who they are, but a company called Entire in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, that does printing and construction related documents, blueprints, CAD services, all that fun stuff. So looking at their employees, just looking at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the second from the bottom, manager of business development. That's probably someone who I want to contact to talk about coming out and training their sales team for a day. And then if I take it a step forward and click on that person's link and go to their LinkedIn profile, I can learn a little bit more about them, get some more detailed information. I can connect, I can send an email, I can see that he's got 44 connections. I see that he is a 3rd degree if you look in that top right corner of the screen, which means it's possible that he's a friend of a friend of a friend. I could get an intro that way. I mean, the possibilities are pretty well endless as to what you could do with LinkedIn. Another neat thing you want to do, if you're on a PC, create a PowerPoint presentation. If you're on a Mac, create a Keynote presentation. Keynote, by the way, is the Mac equivalent of PowerPoint. It's way, way, way better. You're watching a Keynote now. Keynote was Steve Jobs' personal presentation software, and then one day a light bulb went off. He said, gee, I should sell this thing. It would be a great product. And if you're using a PC, get a Mac. Funny story, every time I visit Jeffrey Gittimer, we go out to a Starbucks in the morning, and we're each sitting there with our Macs out. And he'll always pick out one guy with a PC and walk up to him with his Mac in hand and say, jokingly with a smile on his face, say, hey, buddy, have you heard yet? Even if your company issues you a PC, get a Mac. Even if you buy the MacBook Air, which is their cheapest laptop, you'll be so much more productive. Trust me on this one. But anyway, create a presentation, have it professionally redone. You can go to an outsource site like Elance or Odesk for 20 to 50 bucks. You could find someone offshore to take your plain text presentation and make it look really impressive, something like this. You should really do this with all your presentations. By the way, Julie, who does all of my presentations for me, she does all the webinars like the one you're watching now. I've had a conversation with her about making her services available to all of you schedule permitting. She has about 15 spare hours per week. So watch for an email in the coming weeks about where you'll be able to actually upload your plain text PowerPoint, and then for a fee, she'll turn it into a dazzling looking presentation like you see here, and a week later you'll get an email back with your redone PowerPoint. So you will not be guilty of, I'm going to type this in here. Seth Godin has a free ebook available online. I just typed into the chat box called Really Bad PowerPoint. It's free. Just Google it, find the download, read it. It's short, it's funny, but you'll learn why you'd never want to present a really bad PowerPoint. So I'm going to make this service available. Oh, I actually missed the point of that slide. The last bullet point you see there, take your dressed up PowerPoint or keynote presentation, upload it to slideshare.com for free, and then install the SlideShare app on your LinkedIn profile and put your presentation on it. Very, very powerful way to get your points across. If you don't have a good set of bullet points, a good compelling argument to put into a presentation, connect with me on LinkedIn, contact me. I will refer you to my research person who will put together just an amazing research report that you can use to turn into a presentation. Prospecting in LinkedIn groups. Look up your best customers and your ideal prospects and join the groups they belong to. Their peers and their colleagues are going to be in the same groups. And guess what? Your customers, peers, and colleagues are going to be more and more of your ideal prospects. Build trust and value with fellow group members. And once you've done this, you can message them directly because you're in the same group. No need to use up your paid in-mail requirements for fellow group members, keeping your LinkedIn account and your LinkedIn activities free. Here's a big one that people overlook: prospecting on LinkedIn profiles. View the profiles of your best customers and your ideal prospects. Now, on the lower right-hand corner of anyone's LinkedIn profile, you can see a little box called Viewers of this profile also viewed. Well, guess what? That's going to be the person's peers. And again, more ideal prospects for you, and on down the line. So here's a screenshot from my own personal LinkedIn profile. People of Frank's profile also viewed Jeffrey Gitomer, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. FJ Advisors is my company page, so that one's irrelevant. Kevin Wilkie, Ali Madalat, Tom Beal, David Fry, Bob Yeager, Deepak Chopra. It's a pretty safe bet that since I'm a best-selling author and a speaker and all that, that if I'm one of your best customers, every person who you're looking at here can potentially be one of your best customers because we're all buying the same types of products and services. So viewing the viewers of this profile also viewed is a total goldmine in terms of finding more of your best prospects and best customers who you can go after using the very techniques I've taught you on LinkedIn. In closing, LinkedIn is the best online sales prospecting tool. It is the best social media site, hands down. Facebook has its place. Twitter has its place. Quora, Mosaic Hub, all these other upcoming sites. I'll do webinars on them in the future, but LinkedIn is where you want to start. Build your foundation there first. You now have a long list of action items to get to work on right now. No need to memorize it all or to refer back to notes. Before the end of this week, you will receive a recording of this entire presentation in its entirety via email. It does take a little bit of time to process the video, get it compressed down to a size where everyone can download it. So that's why it will be before the end of the week and not today or in the next hour. You're also going to get a PDF of the entire presentation, so you can refer back to that as often as you want. And now it's time for Q&A. So feel free to start typing questions into that question box. So let's see here. I don't see many yet, but they will start piling in now that we're open for Q&A. Mark says, some experts say you should never auto-invite your email list because it will burn up your allocated invites. That's true on Facebook, but I'm not aware of that being true on LinkedIn. As far as I know, LinkedIn is, last time I checked, see, you sent another message saying a finite amount. I did not run across that, so my guess is going to be Free LinkedIn gives you a finite number, but one of the paid accounts does not. But that would be something to research and look at. LinkedIn changes all the time. Uh, you know, it may have changed last week. Something may have changed today since I did this webinar, but things change constantly. My guess is because LinkedIn is a smart company, the higher your paid membership level, the more invites you get. Let's see here. This is a long one, so give me a moment to read this question. Someone asked about joining a large number of groups, but they're selling different products. They're within different industries. My recommendation there, this same question came up on this morning's session of the webinar, is to create multiple LinkedIn business pages or company pages for each industry or each product or each company you represent, and then take it from there. Use each of those to join different groups and to promote within LinkedIn. So that's the short answer on that. Is to create separate business or different company pages for each of the products or companies or services you represent. Someone asked if this is recorded. The answer is yes. You'll get that before the end of the week. Woody says, did you say if I'm the same group with one of my competitors that they could see my connections and I can see theirs? Yes, but there's no danger to this whatsoever. I talked about the benefits of actually networking with your competitors, but more often, if you're giving your customers good service and you're delivering on your promises, and more importantly, if you've established a LinkedIn group and you're providing informational value to them within that group, there's no reason that they're going to go to one of your competitors. If you're worried about losing customers to competitors, then you have to start thinking about where are you falling short in delivering quality service and quality value to them. So give that a thought for a second. But if you positioned yourself as a leader with LinkedIn groups and you're having free webinars for your customers and value-added events, there's absolutely no way in the world that you're going to lose a customer to some cold calling salesperson who just comes along and shows no value whatsoever. Dan asks, I sell a reward and recognition program to businesses, typically HR managers who I deal with. Any ideas on irresistible offer I could make? That'll probably be a much longer conversation that I want to take up too much time here. I want to get to as much Q&A as possible. So my short answer is connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message there, and we could chat about that. Valerie says, great webinar. Thank you. Thank you, Valerie. It always makes my day hearing compliments on this. Dave says, with so many tools, have you found a good way to keep them under control? It's actually a lot less tedious than it sounds like. Someone asked earlier, I only have 30 minutes a day to allocate this. I said, fine. On day one, build your profile. On day two, add all of your groups and all of your education and jobs. On day three, invite people. On day four, search and join groups. On day five, create a group. So once you've got it up and running, it's not tedious at all. It's actually very simple. And like I said, if you do find it too time consuming, split the tasks with a colleague and agree to split the leads or the sales that come in from it. So that's a good way to do it. Let's see here. Bear with me again as I read these questions. Mark points out, yeah, this is a good point. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but when you do an advanced people search, the results come up in the order of the number of connections the person has. So that's why I said early on, you want to do as much as possible and invite as many people as possible, ask for invitations, things like that. You want as big of a network as possible on LinkedIn because, like Mark pointed out, when someone does an advanced search, the search results show up in order by the number of connections that people have. Because in LinkedIn's opinion, the more connections you have, the more important you are. And so they're going to push you up to the top of search results when people search on LinkedIn. Patricia asks, can you explain a little bit about how to customize your URL? I don't want to take up time getting into technical details, but just go to edit your profile, and there's a way to do it in there. And as long as your particular name is not taken, yours might be because Jones is a common last name, but it doesn't have to be a name. I mean, I have a hard to spell last name, so my profile should have been / Never Cold Call Again or Never Cold Call or the Cold Call Killer or something like that. But just go to edit your profile and you'll find how to do it. Scott asks, what are your thoughts on using LinkedIn banner ads? Mixed reviews. The cost per click starts at a minimum of $2. I use a very limited budget on LinkedIn advertising because it's extremely overpriced. It has gradually been coming down over time, but at a minimum price of $2 per click, unless you're in a very, very high profit margin business, it's really not something that I would recommend at this time. Like I said, unless, for example, one of my clients does real estate seminars at a cost of $25,000 per person. So for him, it makes sense to spend several $1,000s on LinkedIn ads to get one person to come to his webinar. For nevercoldcall.com, selling a $97 product with a much, much smaller profit margin, it does not make sense for me to spend a big budget at $2 a click on LinkedIn ads. So it all depends. Let's see, someone asked the same question that's been answered. Let's see. Kathleen asked, what are the benefits of having a paid LinkedIn account? Number one, you get more in-mails. That's the biggest difference, more in-mails every month to send direct messages to people who are neither your connections nor in your groups. You also can invite more people. I think it's like 5,000 people a day on the minimum level, but it goes up as you increase the paid membership level. So it just depends on your needs. I have the smallest one only because people invite me because I'm a prominent sales author and I've got the LinkedIn URL on all of my newsletters. So it's just a matter of your needs and how many people you think you'll be sending in-mails to. Trevor says, how often should you request a connection if there is no response? The answer is once. If you ask more than once, they could flag it as spam and you can get your account suspended. So if someone doesn't respond after once, don't do it again. Jessica asks, do you recommend a blog writing company? I don't know any I would recommend, and I am not a fan of copywriting in general. Nobody is going to be as passionate and as big of a believer in your product or your service as yourself. So I always recommend writing your own blog posts. By the way, questions are piling up fast. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to all of them because I'm going to stop at 2 hours, which is 12 minutes from now. That's the bad news. The good news is after this is over, I get an Excel spreadsheet from GoToWebinar with everyone's name, everyone's email address, and then your question. So if I don't get to your question on the webinar right now, you will get an answer via email from me within a week tops. I can promise you that. So if I don't get to your answer here, you will hear from me via email within a week. Michael asks, I'm a B2B healthcare copywriter. Could I do a stealth search on, I'm sorry, I just said I don't recommend copywriting, Michael. Could I do a stealth search on fellow copywriters in my area to lead share? Absolutely. Doing the advanced search feature I showed you, that would be very, very easy to find that. And you could even do a Google search as well, so it wouldn't be hard whatsoever. Even if you find them through Google search or Facebook search or something like that, you can still connect on LinkedIn. Helena Green says, a social media expert says it's against LinkedIn ethics to invite connections without being introduced first. That's actually not true. If you do too much of it, it can be flagged as spam, but it's really not against LinkedIn terms of service to invite connections without being introduced first. So I totally disagree with that 100%. Let's see. What I'm seeing a lot of questions that have already been answered. Many people asking the same question. Lynn asks, how do you handle a situation where you are not the expert, but the people you work for are? Example, selling accounting services, but not an accountant or other professional services. I would just target whatever it is that you want to sell. It doesn't matter whether you're the person doing the selling or the people you work for are doing or the specialists in that product. Just figure out what the product is that people would be looking for, and then use that to decide what you're going to promote, what you're going to write about, what groups you will participate in, and so on. Arnie asks, I just received your Never Cold Call system yesterday. Based on what I heard today, should I review and apply that information first, or should I start on the advice in the webinar today? That's up to you. They're both equally valuable. This LinkedIn information is not in the Never Cold Call Again system. It's just a very basic one chapter kind of summary of it. So it's up to you. Do whatever you're comfortable with first. Definitely read the Never Cold Call book and listen to the CDs. But if you want to jump off this webinar now and log into LinkedIn and get started, by all means, go for it. Steve asks, what are the best practices for writing your own recommendations, or how do you go about doing that? Just think of what you've done for the particular person you're approaching for a recommendation, and just write, Steve has done this, this, and this for me. I can't recommend him enough to my peer, or something like that. So just do it specifically based on the specific things you've done for that particular client or customer. Danielle says many groups do not accept new members as they have a limited number of members. Any feedback? That's why I recommend going for open groups first. Once you found as many open groups that do accept new members without qualification, then start looking for closed groups, and then you can request to join those groups. So that's how I would go about that. Phyllis says, I have a personal LinkedIn account. Do I need to create a business account as well, even though the information would overlap? The answer is no. If you're a business owner, I recommend having a separate business account because that's always useful, similar to how, in addition to a personal Facebook profile, you'd want to have a Facebook business page to get people to like it and share it. But the short answer is no. You can do all of this through your personal LinkedIn account. Thomas asks, what industry restrictions have financial advisors experience on LinkedIn? That would be something to ask within your industry. I am not an expert on financial compliance. I do know that I had a client meeting yesterday with a very high-end financial advisor, a very wealthy man who only deals with wealthy clients. He's owned several firms over the years. And from his knowledge of compliance, which is very thorough, posting generic recommendations is permissible. So he's gotten dozens of thank you letters from people saying thank you for making sure I didn't get hurt in the stock market crash of 2008. Something like that, according to him, is permissible. Something with specific numbers or dollar amounts or percentages is not, because that could be construed as making projections. But again, that's not my field of expertise, so consult your own compliance department before doing anything on LinkedIn. Lynn asks a funny question because this came up again on the morning webinar. When completing profile, it has been advised to omit certain group involvement, such as religious, church, pro-Second Amendment. Should you limit it just to education, work experience, charitable orgs? My response is absolutely not. I am not it is not a secret to me that I'm a gun owner. I am an NRA life member. I am politically conservative. I am extremely outspoken and even provocative on my conservative political views. And people say, well, if you do that, you're going to turn people off. And my experience is, for every one person that gets turned off by your religious or your political opinions, you're going to attract 2 or 3 people who will be very much drawn to you and may even decide to do business with you for that reason. So again, post everything. Talk about your religious views. Talk about the fact that you're in a pro-Second Amendment meetup, because like I said, for every one person you offend, you're going to attract 2 or 3 or even more people who not only will not be offended by it, but will want to do business with you because you share those common beliefs. So I am a big fan of just letting it all out there and making sure everyone knows. Peter asks, can you share a presentation and present it to a group? Short answer is yes. With 5 minutes left, I don't want to go into detail, but yes, you can do that. Let's see. That's been asked already. Someone asked, I'm trying to reach people who have a profile, but they're not active members. They don't participate in groups. They have a small group of connections. I'd probably send a connection invite and see if you get a response back. I wouldn't waste an in-mail because there's a pretty good chance if they're inactive, then they're inactive, and that's just the end of the story. I'd go to the company page and find someone else within the company who is active. That's probably the best route. It's probably skip the person who's not active. There's a pretty good chance they haven't logged into LinkedIn in months, and you're just not going to make any traction trying to connect with them. So I would find someone within the same company, whether you use LinkedIn or you use Manta, salesgenie.com to find out who those decision makers are. Find someone else and then connect with someone who is active on LinkedIn. Arnie says, I'll second the comment that this was a very informational webinar. Thank you. I love hearing that. Totally makes my day. Michael says, phenomenal presentation. Dave says, thank you. I'll start skipping these and get back to questions. Todd says, is it recommended to buy a LinkedIn membership? I would say yes. Start with the minimum. I think it's still $15 a month for the smallest account. That gives you like 15 in-mails a month. If you find that you need more, upgrade. But being a LinkedIn member for years and years, I've never upgraded beyond the $15 level, no matter how many promo emails they send me asking me to upgrade to one of the more expensive ones. Let's see. I'm trying to find questions that have not been asked duplicate times already. Mark says you have to select the results of your advanced people search presented by the number of connections they have. That is correct. Valerie says, would you recommend to highlight our title as current position, such as vice president, or a tag on what we can help our clients achieve? Good point. A tag on what you can help your clients achieve is much better than vice president. So instead of being president of FJR Advisors Inc., mine is New York Times bestselling author at nevercoldcall.com. That attracts a lot more attention. So yeah, I should probably make that something more interesting, like the cold call killer or the cold calling guru or the sales prospecting guru. So yeah, definitely, instead of using a boring corporate title like vice president or account manager or account executive, get creative and use your imagination and come up with a title. The money saver, or the if you're a financial advisor, be the wealth multiplier or something like that. Just get creative and think of something. So yeah, that's a very good point. And I'm going to make a note to include that in future webinars and any other presentations I do on LinkedIn. Someone asked, do you think there are groups for network marketers, people working at home business? I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are groups on all of the above. There are groups on pretty much anything you can think of. Good point. Mark Sullivan also pointed out paid membership also lets you see who has viewed your profile. So that's another good point, because if someone has viewed your profile, that may be someone you want to follow up with. So it's a good idea to go look at that person's profile, maybe try to connect. If you're in a group together, send a direct message. If you're not, maybe connect or send an in-mail. So yeah, good point, Mark. Thank you very much on that. And I am at the 2-hour mark, so we're 30 minutes past the 90 minutes that was advertised. Wanted to make sure you guys got the same treatment, the same 2 hours that the morning group got. Once again, if you did not get your question answered, they are all saved within GoToWebinar. And as soon as I close this out, it's going to automatically email me a spreadsheet with everyone's name, email address, and question. So I will get back to you within a week by email answering your question. Also, you will receive a recording of this entire presentation, as well as a PDF of the presentation itself before the end of the week. So keep your eyes open on your email inbox. If you don't get it, check your spam box. If you still haven't seen it by Monday, send me a direct message on LinkedIn and I'll make sure you get it. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Thank you for your very kind comments and feedback about the webinar itself. And with that, I will call it quits. Have a great rest of the week and a great upcoming weekend, everyone. Thank you again.